Hello everyone, in this week's video, I'm going to share my picks for the top 5 budget commanders from Murders at Karlov Manor, their precons, and the clue set. I'm excluding the price of the commanders here since they're likely to change at release. I'm just going to be looking at the price to make a fun and powerful budget deck. These aren't listed in any particular order, and make sure to watch until the end for some honorable mentions. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into it. First up is Dusana the Rage Mother. This Naya bear is in the newest precon, and it's the go-to bear deck commander. This is thanks to its powerful card draw and buff it provides. Doing a quick Scryfall search, there are over 1,000 2/2 creatures in Naya colors. You can easily fill out an entire curve with them. Some of the most notable are Solemn Simulacrum, Mentor of the Meek, Archivist of Ogam, Acidic Slime, and Scavenging Ooze. I could probably go on for another 10 minutes listing creatures, so I will include a link to the Scryfall search down below to make it easy to look for yourself. Wild Pair is going to be one of the best cards in the deck. This 6-mana enchantment lets you tutor up any creature so long as its combined power and toughness are equal to whatever creature you just cast. So if you cast literally Grizzly Bear, you can tutor up a Hornet Queen or a Bane of Progress. Also, quick rules note, it does say base power toughness, so a 0/0 that ETBs with counters on it won't do anything for you. And of course you could run this as a Naya Morph commander, but honestly I'd rather run it as a Wild Pair deck. Next is Judith Carnage Connoisseur. This is a Rakdos Spellslinger commander that either makes tokens or gives your spells lifelink and death touch. My first thought when looking at this commander was to jam a bunch of those 1-damage board wipes as a cheeky way to, well, wipe the board. I don't think you actually want a lot of those effects. I would add cards like Electrickery because it only costs 2 mana to overload and is an instant, and then Blazing Volley, again because it's only 1 mana, and Cast in the Fire because it's also artifact removal. But try to avoid cards like Cosmonic Wave, Hazardous Blast, and Tectonic Hazard. Basically, if a card is just bad without Judith out, I'd probably replace it with a card that's just good and gets that much better with her. So run Blasphemous Act and Starve Extinction if you want some real fun. I'm also seeing a lot of these red burn spell creatures like Firebrand Archer and Kessig Flame Breather. While these cards are powerful, I think you're better off running protection for Judith. Not Dead After All, Feign Death, and Undying Malice, for example. These will not only protect your commander from your own board wipes, but they just keep her alive against removal that will be pointed at her, and they're all 1 mana. And a creature I'd highly recommend you add to the deck is Pestilent Spirit. It's a 3-mana 3/2 with Menace and Death Touch, and it gives your instants and sorcery spells you control Death Touch. Also, she's an odd mana value and can be companioned with Obosh. Just something to keep in mind. Next up is Commander Mustard. Soldiers just got a new commander, has Boros time baby. A Mustard doesn't buff your board, instead it gives all of your soldiers a bunch of keywords that makes them super annoying to block. There are some expensive soldiers such as Mariel Shield of Argiv and Brimaz King of Oraskos, but you don't need to play the biggest creatures thanks to Mustard's second ability. And fun fact, this stacks. So if you can pay 8 mana into it, you can deal 2 damage per creature, and if you have 12 mana, you can do 3 and so on. And because the creature is dealing the damage, you do get lifelink triggers from any non-combat damage. Making soldier tokens is also super easy to do, especially on a budget. Assemble the Legion, while slow, does make a ton of creatures over time. Elspeth's Son's Champion is only $2 at the time of recording, and makes 3 soldiers with her +1 ability. And then there's Horn of Gondor that makes like 1,000,000 human soldiers. And if you decide to go this token route, make sure to include Impact Tremors, and the new War Leader's Call. It's a 3-mana Impact Tremors that also buffs your board. I would also pick up copies of Rescue Retriever, a 5-mana dog soldier that has Flash, puts a counter on each soldier you control when it ETBs, and prevents all damage dealt to other attacking soldiers you control. Catapult Master is another 5-mana soldier that lets you tap 5 untapped soldiers you control to exile a creature, and Tajic Legion's Edge to prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. Fourth on my list is the Pride of Hulklade. Time to build Simic Big Butts. Finally, we do have an interesting Simic commander. Most Simic commanders really feel samey to me. They either want you to ramp, put counters on things, or just draw cards. But Thickboy, that's what I'm calling him for the rest of this video, cares about toughness and gives you an actual win condition, hitting face with big butts. Some of the best are Tree of Redemption, which is 4 mana for a 0/13 that lets you exchange your life total with its toughness. Charix the Raging Isle, it's a big crab, and that's pretty much it. It's a big crab, 0/17. And Bedrock Tortoise from LCI gives your creatures hexproof on your turn, and it has creatures assign combat damage equal to their toughness if their power is lower. And much like Commander Mustard, Thickboy's abilities can stack, allowing you to draw 1,000,000 cards. Also, his ability isn't restricted to sorcery speed, meaning if you can get in with one hit, you can then activate this multiple times before damage is assigned but after blocks are declared. Or you can just give them unblockable with Rogue's Passage, Prowler's Helm, or Key to the City. Whispersilk Cloak is a non-bow since it gives the creature Shroud, meaning Thickboy can't target it. Future Ben here. While I was editing this video, I realized I forgot about Overgrown Battlement and Axebane Guardian. These are both defenders that add a bunch of mana to your mana pool, definitely check them out. And finally, we have Niv-Mizzet Guild Pack, a 5-color commander, which might seem weird to see on a budget list, but with the release of Splunking and all of the budget lands we have access to, this is much easier than it used to be. Remember, you don't need Shock, Fetches, and Triumphs to have a great mana base. I love Niv because it's a win condition and card advantage engine we have access to from the command zone. We want to load up on cards like Feyburrow Elder, General Ferris Rockrick, and Baleful Strix. There's also the Liege Cycle from Shadowmoor, which was just reprinted I think a year or two ago, or you can lean into a 5-color Voltron deck with 2-color auras. Edge of Divinity and Ruins of Deos make Niv a one-shot kill by making him into an 11/11 flying creature with double strike. Don't forget to add Squeeze Embrace as multicolored protection. If you're going to be building him on a budget, I would suggest you focus on all of the green guilds first, then splash some of the best non-green guild cards. This allows you to play all of the green X duels, and makes it easier to cast those green ramp spells. And before we wrap up this video, I wanted to go over some honorable mentions. These are commanders I like, but I thought were overshadowed by my top 5. Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, is an Elf Ball and Wolf commander. I think the design space is unique, and it can lead to some weird decks. Heck, you could build 2 dedicated decks using this commander, or if you want to be super spicy, build a pile deck where you shuffle in, let's say, 32 random elves and or wolves each game. Atrada, Deadly Fugitive. I love her flavor, but I'm not sure how powerful she'll actually be. She does scale with the table, which is great, but people don't like having their cards taken, so there is that. Thankfully, assassins are pretty cheap, so this would be easy to build on a budget. Anzarang, the Quake Mole. Gruul Stompy, Gonna Stomp. I'm sure people will make interesting decks with our new Mole Overlord, but I have a feeling the pieces of this deck are going to be a little bit too expensive to make it worth it. Murko, Observus Theorist, is a precon commander, and honestly, the precon is going to be your best bet for a budget deck. Nothing I can brew will be better than the value of what you'll get in that precon. I also don't do precon upgrades usually because of how many people already do them, but if you want me to do one, let me know. And then Amiz, Swarm's Hunger. This is probably my favorite Clue commander, even though it's probably pretty weak. I just love Golgari, and I love that this sort of does what my Tormod deck does, but slightly differently. 10 out of 10. So, which commanders from the new set are you looking forward to building? Any deck techs you want to see specifically? Let me know in the comment section below, and give this video a like for more budget commander. Alrighty, see ya!